My husband's nephew moved into his grandparents' home at 16 years old. He is now 24 and is still living at the grandparents' home with his girlfriend, who does not work, and her 7-year-old daughter. They do not clean much, if at all, and are sloppy in many ways. Just recently, my husband's father, the grandpa, passed away, and the nephew is still living there without paying bills. We are in the process of closing the estate. He will have to either move or find a way to pay all the bills. He does not make enough money, and his 28-year-old girlfriend does not work. My husband wants to move them into our home so he can keep his inheritance of his dad's $401,000, muscle cars, etc. I do not want them to move in. We do not have children. We are both 40 years old and have 3 cats. I feel that if they move in, they will not leave. In fact, I'm about 97% sure of this. The fact that the nephew's girlfriend does not work or support her own child, who is not his, really bothers me. I halfway caved and said the nephew can move in, but my husband said he is not breaking up a family. They are not married, and I feel this is too much. My husband could give them money to set them up in an apartment or townhome, something, but he feels that it's setting him up for failure. He believes that in a year, they would be back with nowhere to live. I feel that it is not our responsibility to take care of a grown nephew and the people he chooses to date, nor is it our responsibility if he goes out into the world and cannot make it on his own. However, I would help them as long as real effort is being made. This has caused a huge rift between us. My husband has said he will do whatever he feels necessary and I can deal with it. I said in anger that if he does so, I will be moving out along with my animals. I know if they do move in, I will end up going off on them and asking them to move out. I do not do well with others in my living space. I need my sanctuary or my anxiety goes through the roof. So it is looking like either way, I'm out of luck. So am I the jerk for not wanting to take them in? Edit. The nephew is doing the best he can with the amount he makes and is trying. His girlfriend is not and sleeps till noon daily. She will not get a driver's license, even though we bought her a car. Most mornings, she doesn't even take her child to the bus stop. My nephew has to do so, as well as any effort to clean up. Edit. The child is in elementary school and is not home between 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Edit. My husband has just now gone back to work after taking care of his father, who died of cancer. He had to go into his retirement fund to do so and was out of work for 6 months. He wants to use funds from the estate to replace his retirement funds that were used. Edit. The father received full custody when the nephew was 1 year old. Then the mother disappeared. The father left his son, nephew, with the grandparent and abandoned him. The father is estranged from the family. Edit. We are paying the grandfather's bills through the estate, though funds for this will not last long. Myself, I have been paying all my and my husband's bills for the past 6 months. Before this, he would pay the mortgage, and I paid all utilities, etc. This worked for us. My husband has always taken my feelings into account in all things, but this time he doesn't seem to care. I know it is due to stress, and he seems to think this is the right thing to do. His parents always took in stragglers, but that is not my way. He has an issue with the child being upset and breaking up his nephew's family. My husband's family has always been low on money. I believe a lot of that was due to taking in all of these people who do not work or contribute. Maybe my husband thinks this is what you are supposed to do. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. This is a hill to die on because it will only get worse if they move in. Your husband is being greedy about the inheritance and may expect you to shoulder the responsibility of housing and feeding 2 useless adults. Legally, if they live with you for any length of time, you will have to go to court to kick them out. If your husband keeps going, move out. The life in marriage as you knew it will be over. Or move out and date your husband. But let him live with 2 slobs to realize the consequences of his decision. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Don't let them move in with you in the household. You need to bring this to a head right now with your husband. He needs to either realize that he can have his nephew in a divorce or keep his current household intact. He needs to make the decision now so you can determine when/where you may need to go. It is a tough position for you, but you deserve to have a sanctuary in your home that does not include messy freeloaders. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a month since my last post, and I wanted to give you an update on what's been happening. First off, thanks for all your support and advice. So a lot has gone down in the past few weeks. My husband and I had a big argument about his nephew moving in with us. I tried to explain my concerns, but he just wouldn't listen. He kept saying that we had to keep the family together and that it was our responsibility to help them out. I get that he wants to do the right thing, but I just don't think it's fair to put all of this on us. Anyway, despite my objections, my husband went ahead and told his nephew that he could move in with us. I was really upset about it, but I tried to make the best of the situation. I figured that maybe if I set some ground rules and expectations, it would make things easier. But boy, was I wrong. As soon as they moved in, it was chaos. The girlfriend still wouldn't get a job or even help out around the house. She just slept all day and expected everyone else to take care of her kid. And the nephew, who I thought was at least trying, started slacking off too. He stopped going to work and just hung out with his girlfriend all day. It got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. I was constantly stressed out and anxious, and I felt like a prisoner in my own home. I tried talking to my husband about it, but he just kept making excuses for them. He said that they were going through a tough time and that we needed to be patient. But then something happened that pushed me over the edge. I found out that the nephew had been stealing money from us. He had been taking cash out of my purse and using our credit cards without permission. When I confronted him about it, he just shrugged and said that he needed the money for his girlfriend and her kid. I was furious. I told my husband that enough was enough and that they had to go, but he still wouldn't listen. He said that we couldn't just kick them out and that we had to give them more time. That's when I realized that my husband had been enabling their behavior all along. He had been giving them money behind my back and making excuses for them whenever I complained. It was like he was more concerned about being the hero and saving the day than he was about our marriage. I couldn't believe it. I felt so betrayed and hurt. I had always thought that my husband and I were a team, but now it felt like he was choosing them over me. I started thinking back to when we first got married. My husband had always been close to his family, but I never realized how much he prioritized them over our relationship. There were so many times when he would drop everything to help them out, even if it meant canceling our plans or putting our needs on the back burner. I remember one time when his sister called him in the middle of the night because she had gotten into a fight with her boyfriend. My husband jumped out of bed and drove over to her place, leaving me alone and worried. He didn't come back until the next morning, and when I asked him about it, he just said that his sister needed him. I guess I should have seen the red flags back then, but I was too in love to notice. I thought that his dedication to his family was admirable, but now I see that it was actually a sign of a deeper problem. Anyway, after the stealing incident, I knew that I had to take action. I told my husband that I was moving out and that I was taking the cats with me. He begged me to stay, but I had made up my mind. I couldn't live like this anymore. So here I am, a month later, living in a small apartment with my 3 cats. It's been tough, but I know that I made the right decision. I miss my husband, but I don't miss the constant stress and anxiety that came with living with his nephew and girlfriend. I'm not sure what the future holds for us, but I know that I need to focus on myself right now. I need to figure out what I want and what I deserve in a relationship. And if my husband can't see that, then maybe it's time for us to go our separate ways. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks again for listening and for all your support. It means a lot to me. Am I the idiot for excluding my friend from our group because she chose attachment parenting? For context, me and 4 friends all had babies around the same time, within about 6 months of each other, and the babies are all between 12, 18 months old. My son is 14 months old, and my attachment parenting friend's son is 18 months old. When we were all pregnant, we decided we would not ever let being a mom take over our lives. We'd continue to hang out and have normal relationships, etc. 4 of us have maintained that fact. We hang out regularly. When her son was about 6 weeks old, our friend devoted herself fully to attachment parenting. We all realized quickly that she was happy to be a mom and only a mom, and we were excited for her. I tried it myself after hearing her talk about the bonds and things, but it's just not for me. I enjoy having breaks, and sleep training saved my sanity. LOL. She is completely controlled by her son. We would invite her out initially, but we were always met with a no. It was usually too late in the day. We typically enjoy hanging out after bedtime, but her son can't cope without her, so she can't attend. The daytime events we planned, she couldn't attend because they aren't baby-friendly, and he won't settle. Basically, her son needs to be with her 24/7, and we do not want to escape our kids to hang out with hers. So we recently, as a group, stopped inviting her out with us. She is obviously upset and is claiming we're not being understanding, shaming her for her parenting decisions. I understand how we are, but on the other hand, it's not hard to understand that we want to spend time child-free, and that includes her child too. It all came to a head a few days ago when we were having one of our toddler playdates and the kids were all playing. I mentioned going out for drinks that night, and she made a comment about wishing we'd planned these things earlier in the day for her. I told her that we do it because we want it to be child-free. She claimed we were purposefully excluding her. I told her that she only gets so upset over it because she's created a clingy monster of a toddler and can't escape him. I was aggressive and immediately apologized, but I'm tired of tiptoeing around her when she's created this situation herself. He won't die if she leaves him at home. She can come hang out if she wants. She just doesn't want to deal with a tantrum. She got really upset, obviously, and ended up leaving early. Our other friends think we should start planning events so her son can just hang out too. Obviously, we miss spending time with her, but I don't think she should get to bring her son. It's not a mom's evening if she's got a toddler screaming for the breast all evening. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Your hangouts have a condition, no kids. If she can't manage that, she's not invited. Maybe you could still hang out with her one-on-one, but in a much more child-friendly atmosphere. Plus, I can only imagine how an attachment-parented 18-month-old will behave in public, so you may be limited to outdoor or extremely child-friendly places. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I'm saying that because you do have child-friendly hangouts that she joins in with. It's just that you, as a group, also want child-free hangouts, and she doesn't want to ever be child-free. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks so much for all your comments and insights on my last post. It's been a busy few days since then, and I've got quite the update for you. So after that heated playdate where I snapped at my attachment parenting friend, things took a turn for the worse. The next day she sent a long message in our group chat expressing how hurt and betrayed she felt by my words and our group's actions. She said she thought we were supposed to support each other as moms, not judge each other's parenting choices. The other girls in the group seemed to sympathize with her, and I started to feel like maybe I had been too harsh. I decided to extend an olive branch and invited her out for coffee, just the two of us. I figured we could talk things out and find a way to move forward. When we met up, I apologized for what I said and tried to explain where I was coming from. I told her that we all missed hanging out with her, but we also valued our child-free time. She listened and seemed to understand, but then she dropped a news on me. She confessed that she had been struggling with postpartum depression and anxiety, and that attachment parenting was the only thing that made her feel like a good mom. She said she felt like she was failing her son if she wasn't with him 24/7, and that the thought of leaving him made her panic. I was stunned. I had no idea she was going through all that, and suddenly I felt like the worst friend in the world. I tried to be supportive and encouraged her to seek help, but she brushed it off and said she was fine. We ended the conversation on a somewhat positive note, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Over the next few days, I noticed a change in our group dynamic. My attachment parenting friends started posting more in the chat, sharing articles about the benefits of attachment parenting and the dangers of sleep training. The other girls started to engage with her posts, asking questions and seeking advice. I felt like I was watching them all get sucked into her world, and I didn't know how to stop it. Things came to a head when one of the other girls, who had been sleep training her daughter, posted about how her little one had slept through the night for the first time. Instead of congratulating her, my attachment parenting friend went off on a tangent about how sleep training was harmful and that the baby was probably just shutting down from stress. The other girl was clearly upset and defensive, and the whole thing devolved into a heated argument. I tried to step in and mediate, but it was too late. The damage had been done. The group chat went silent for a few days, And when it finally started up again, it was clear that things had changed. The girls who had been swayed by my attachment parenting friend's posts started to pull away from me, and the other girl who had been sleep training. They stopped inviting us to play dates and started making plans without us. I was hurt and confused. I felt like I had lost my friends and my support system, all because I had dared to speak out against attachment parenting. I tried to reach out to my attachment parenting friend, but she was distant and cold. She said she didn't feel like she could trust me anymore, and that she needed to focus on her son. As the weeks went by, I watched as my once close group of friends drifted further and further apart. The attachment parenting moms formed their own little clique, while the rest of us were left on the outside. I felt like I had failed as a friend and as a mom, and I didn't know how to fix it. Looking back, I realized that I made a mistake in how I handled the situation. I should have been more understanding and supportive of my friend's struggles instead of judging her parenting choices. I should have tried harder to find a way for all of us to spend time together, even if it meant accommodating her son. But I also realized that I can't force someone to change their parenting style, no matter how much I might disagree with it. In the end, I've had to accept that our group will never be the same. We've all grown and changed as moms, and our priorities and values have shifted. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the reality of motherhood. All I can do now is focus on being the best mom I can be to my own son, and hope that someday we can all find a way to reconnect and support each other again. Thanks for reading, everyone. It's been a tough few weeks, but writing this all out has helped me process everything. Here's hoping for brighter days ahead. Am I the idiot for kicking out my dying mother after finding out I'm cut from the will? My mother and I have a rocky relationship, and I stopped caring about it a few years ago. We reconnected, for lack of a better word, last year. Earlier this year, she was diagnosed with terminal cancer. We looked into hospice and palliative care, but the good, decent ones had no beds. She was renting a house, but my mentally unstable sister moved in and basically kicked our mom out of her own home. There's another sibling, but she lives in another state and is pregnant, and another sister who lives in a small apartment with her kids as her house is being remodeled. So it fell on to me to let my mom move in back in March. I was under the assumption that my mom was flat broke. My out-of-state sister was the one handling her finances. I ended up picking up the tab on several things like co-pays, her cell phone bill, and groceries. I also pay my maid extra money to basically babysit her. I've started to dig into my savings, which I have never done, to cover costs. All of my siblings are crying poverty. I told her that I needed to start putting together her paperwork, and she became evasive and hostile. I thought she was scared about facing her mortality. I found some legal stuff, including her will, which was signed before she moved in with me. This bee has $750,000 and asked that it be divided between my 3 siblings. I get nothing. The daughter who rang up $3,000 on her dying mom's credit card on Zaza, Uber Eats, and tattoos gets $250,000. But the daughter who helps her off the toilet and spent $1,300 on a bed gets $0. This isn't a misunderstanding. The only time my name was mentioned in the will was to confirm that I was being left out. I confronted her about it, and she said she didn't think I needed money, and I'm the only kid without kids. I said, "So you were going to use me to take care of you and then basically tell me to frick off when you die?" She said she would change it, and I was right and she was wrong. I said, "Don't bother, you have to move out." She said she has a couple of months to live. She can't move back into her rental that she's paying $2,000 a month for because she's scared of my sister, and she wouldn't survive a road trip to my other sister who is due any day, and there's no room at my other sister's place. My house is clean, quiet, and by the beach. I sent an email to my siblings telling them that she has a week to leave, and if you don't take her, then I'll arrange for the cops to do it. They know I'll do it too. They'll probably take her to some county hospital. Of course, my siblings are mad at me. I'm not looking for advice. I spoke to several professionals, from lawyers to CPAs. I do not owe my mother anything. If the roles were reversed, then she'd lose no sleep over me sleeping on the streets with cancer. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. There's no excuse for someone to take advantage of you, dying or not, and then ignore your efforts and reward someone else. She knew she was wrong, hence hiding it, but she figured she'd be dead by the time you found out what her and your siblings planned, and there'd be nothing but your siblings laughing all the way to the bank after the funeral. She doesn't owe you an inheritance, but neither do you owe her your effort and time. That level of nastiness doesn't need to be in your home. In fact, the whole lot of your family sounds toxic as hell. She's got money, she can go stay in a hotel and hire a private hospice nurse. Ignore them all and live your best life. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Cancer or no cancer, she sounds like a horrible, manipulative woman. She's allowing you to eat into your savings and risk your financial stability to take care of her, and she's not only left you out of her will, but actively made sure you definitely aren't in it. She says she won't move back to her house because she's scared of your sister, but she's still leaving her $250,000 and you nothing. She's not admitting she's wrong, she's just been caught out. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a week since my last update and a lot has happened. Thank you for taking the time to read this. After I found out about my mom's will and confronted her, things got even more complicated. My siblings were furious with me for threatening to kick her out, but I stood my ground. I told them that if they wanted her to stay with me, they needed to contribute financially. They reluctantly agreed to split the costs of her care, but it was clear that they resented me for it. Meanwhile, my mom's health took a turn for the worse. She started having more pain and needed more help with basic tasks. I had to hire a part-time nurse to come in and assist her, which only added to the financial strain. My siblings complained about the extra expense, but I reminded them that it was necessary for our mom's well-being. As the days went by, I started to notice a change in my mom's behavior. She became more withdrawn and refused to talk about her illness or her feelings. I tried to get her to open up, but she just shut me out. It was frustrating and hurtful, especially after everything I had done for her. One day, while I was going through some old boxes in the garage, I found a letter that my mom had written to me when I was a teenager. In it, she apologized for not being there for me when I needed her most, and expressed her regret for the way she had treated me. She also wrote about how proud she was of the person I had become, despite the challenges I had faced. Reading that letter brought up a lot of emotions for me. I realized that my mom had always loved me, even if she had a hard time showing it. I also realized that I had been holding on to a lot of anger and resentment towards her, which had been affecting our relationship. I decided to have a heart-to-heart with my mom. I told her how much her letter had meant to me and how I wanted to repair our relationship before it was too late. She broke down in tears and apologized for everything she had done wrong. We talked for hours, sharing memories and expressing our love for each other. That conversation was a turning point for us. My mom started to open up more about her feelings and her fears about dying. I listened and offered my support, even when it was hard to hear. We also started to make plans for her final days, including her funeral arrangements and how she wanted to be remembered. My siblings noticed the change in our relationship and started to come around more often. They apologized for their behavior and offered to help out more with our mom's care. It was a relief to have their support, even if it was a little late. As the days turned into weeks, my mom's health continued to decline. She was in a lot of pain and needed constant care. I took time off work to be with her and make sure she was comfortable. It was exhausting and emotionally draining, but I knew it was the right thing to do. In the end, my mom passed away peacefully in her sleep, with all of us by her side. It was a bittersweet moment, filled with both sadness and relief. We had all come together to support her in her final days, and I knew that she had felt loved and cared for. Looking back on the past few months, I realize how much I have grown as a person. I learned to let go of my anger and resentment and to focus on what really matters: love and family. I also learned that it's never too late to repair a broken relationship, even in the face of death. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope that it can help others who are going through similar situations. Remember to cherish the time you have with your loved ones, because you never know when it might be your last chance. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.